Hello everybody, welcome to the next episode of Get Real Estate. Today my guest is Shamir. Shamir is actually one of my classmates in the Masters in Real Estate in NUS. And he has highlighted before and it is true, he's the only only Malay classmate that I have in that cohort. But before I continue, maybe Shamir would like to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello everyone, my name is Shamir. I'm actually also a fellow real estate agent like Derek.
Yep.
I'm with Propnex Realty at the moment, and my team is quite big, and we cover a diverse property types within the division. So all the way from your HDB market to all the shop house, the high-end stuff.
Yep.
So I started off in the HDB segment. I did some transactions in the private, and then now I'm looking to penetrate another segment which is in the shop house. But professionally, my background was in banking. So I spent a good decade in banking, and I did loan broking for a while before I fully transitioned to become full-time real estate agent from 2024 onwards. Yeah.
Wow, that's this year actually. Yeah. Congrats and welcome to this arena. I hope you'll find it nice. Yeah. So thanks for sharing, Shamil. I think previously when we have this when we say we want to have this conversation, we did talk about how is Singapore like, because I understand you did when you are in your capacity as doing banks, right, and in the bank, working in the bank, right, you did look at loans comparing to Malaysia and also Indonesia where they have certain Islam friendly loans and stuff. Could you maybe share with the audience, right, what is all this background like, and what do you see that is available in Singapore or not available in Singapore for that matter?
So I started my career in Islamic finance. So I was in Maybank for about 9 months before I moved over to CIMB.
Okay.
So I think Islamic finance has been around for a number of years. But in Singapore, it only started maybe in 2005 onwards.
Okay.
So in 2008 towards 2012, that was somewhat the growth period for Islamic finance.
Okay.
So as a Muslim, right?
Yep.
We're not supposed to take on interest-based loans because interest is considered non-permissible.
Okay.
So they call it haram, right?
Okay,
Right?
understand.
So we are not supposed to take loans that are interest-based. But we don't have that option here in Singapore.
Okay.
Of course, we have the justifications based on the Quran and Hadith on why it is not permissible. So I won't go into that, the reasons why it's not. But as it is that interest is considered non-permissible.
Okay.
And in Singapore, they will need to tweak certain regulations in order to accommodate. So with respect to properties, it works a little bit differently. Okay, so I just put it like food, for example, right?
Yeah.
So if I have the same chicken, right?
Okay.
And one is done in the proper Muslim way, and then you have the halal
Certified,
chop certified there, or the halal chop there on the chicken, then it becomes permissible for a Muslim to consume it. But you can kill the chicken in another way, break its neck or something like that.
Okay.
Right? Which is still, the chicken will still die.
Yeah.
Right? And you can still cook it. But if the ingredients, the salt, the pepper, how long you put it in a boiler to cook the chicken, how long you roast it, if all the same methods, the same timing, the same recipe, will both set of chicken taste the same?
It will be the same.
Yeah, right. It will be the same, right?
The taste, yeah.
But what is the key difference here? It's just one method of slaughtering for the Muslim way, which is permissible, and the other one is not
permissible
because of the method of slaughtering.
Understand.
So that's one key difference. But if the outcome is still the same based on the recipe, the taste is going to be the same, and you're still going to enjoy the food.
Understand.
Proper, right?
Yeah.
So now you understand food when I talk about the Islamic financing way of things. Okay, so there are certain challenges. We are very familiar. I'm the bank, I lend you money, you want to buy the house, and I charge you an interest on it. So that's very simple, right? So it's a lending and borrowing transaction.
Understand.
But for Islamic finance, that is not encouraged.
Okay.
It's not permissible, but trade is encouraged. So for example, you say that, I want to buy this HDB property.
Okay.
You come to the bank, but I only can afford the 25% down payment.
Yep.
Okay, after grants and all that, say for example 25% down payment. And as I'm the bank, right?
Yep.
That's the property that you want to buy. Okay.
Okay.
I buy the property first.
Okay.
Then I sell to you
Uh-huh.
at a markup.
Ah.
And this markup can be
okay,
2.6% per annum.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Over 25 years. Then you will tell me, but Shamir, bank, you cannot, I cannot pay
Okay.
immediately the 2.6%
Understand.
calculated over 25 years today. Can I pay gradually on a monthly basis? Then I agree. Okay, I agree that you pay to me on a monthly basis.
Okay.
But the transaction becomes slightly different. Right? It's just the method of slaughtering, right? The method of transaction is now a buying and selling transaction. And that is allowed. There is no problem.
Okay.
Then that's where you have some challenges, right? So for example, can a bank buy a HDB property or not?
By right, no lah. By right, if we know the regulations in Singapore. Yeah.
So will the MOP then apply to a bank?
I would say no in that sense.
But MOP
by
applies
right if let's say if the buyer is the bank, then the MOP will apply. But it's not logistically not possible, right, for the bank to stay there for 5 years.
So now I buy immediately, right? I sell to you. Will I be imposed seller stamp duty? Because I sell immediately.
Yeah, by right, if you go by that definition, yes. Seller stamp duty.
So all this legality, right, will need to IRAS, MAS, maybe even the Residential Property Act, the HDB Act will probably need to change. And in order for this to change, which means that this needs to be surfaced up to Parliament. A bill needs to be passed, and then you can make all these changes. So who is going to lobby that?
Okay, understand.
Right, and before they even lobby, is there demand coming from the Muslim community?
Understand.
That there is this requirement. Because as it is, there are so many Muslims out there who are taking on HDB loans from HDB at 2.6% per annum, and there are also Muslims in Singapore who are also taking on bank loans to buy HDB or even private property for that matter.
Understand.
Yeah.
Okay. From what I understand from you, right, all these things that you have mentioned has not been really been done yet in that sense.
Yeah, so that's the challenges which is facing the Singapore market right now. So for example, in Malaysia, right, you have a separate banking act for Islamic banking.
Oh, okay.
So the government is sort of
sort out all these things already.
More, I guess, attuned to the market needs.
Okay.
And that's why they create a separate framework so that the banks can perform these kind of transactions.
In a way, like what you mentioned, how they deal with the food. How they deal with the food is more of like getting through like all this legality that you highlighted.
Correct. So the laws are already in place, the framework is already in place, and more conducive for someone to do Islamic finance. So if I go back to the food analogy, right? If the normal conventional Chinese or non-Muslim chicken rice costs $3 for one plate, can I price mine at $3?
I mean, if you have to do a bit more things and stuff, then if your cost of production will be higher in that sense, right? So so definitely you want to price it higher in that way.
So correct. So you're right. So if through doing a different method of slaughtering, maybe it incurs a slight increase in cost.
Okay.
Then maybe I might want to price it at $3.50, which is not too far off. Right from you. But I can also price it at $3 because maybe your cost of slaughtering the chicken or getting your chicken and my cost is actually the same actually.
Understand.
Right. So then I can price the same as you. So it's again depending on market forces. But if I look at it from like Malaysia point of view, the conventional loans, home loans, and the Islamic home loans that they have over there, actually they're quite competitive in terms of price. They don't deviate so much. In fact, from what I understand even, right, as a non-Muslim, can you consume a halal chicken rice?
Yes, we can.
So you can also take on the Islamic mortgage. So your options become more wider, right? So if you're looking at the market, if you're Malaysian and you're looking at the market as a whole, you're actually comparing a lot more options. So depending is, again, banks in Singapore are also quite competitive. Sometimes DBS give you the better rate, sometimes UOB give you the better rate. So same thing. You have all the different, sometimes the conventional UOB loan maybe is at 3% or 4% per annum. And then you have the Islamic one, maybe by Maybank. You have at 2.5% or 2.9%. You will go in Maybank. But if the Islamic version becomes more expensive, then maybe UOB is running some kind of promo. Then you will go back to UOB and change banks along the way.
Understand. It's like there's still some consumerism, wisdom,
Correct.
comparison needed lah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So through that example, the
mm.
Malaysian example, right? If you
Yup.
apply it to Singapore, because there's demand there,
Mm.
the Muslim population is a lot more larger there.
Mm.
If you were to compare it to Singapore, we only have about 500,000 Muslims.
Yup.
Thereabout. And then if you dissect it even further, right? At the working population, if
Yup.
you look at the number of home ownership, if you
Yup.
run the business case, can it support the banks to
Okay.
want to do this
Understand.
and to want to launch the product? So now it becomes a chicken and egg situation.
You need a skill for the bank to feel that this is something that is
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
profitable. But
Correct.
having said that, just now you mentioned, how about let's say, because there's this lack of thing that is there, right? Does it affect like other Muslim country to want to invest in Singapore or to even invest in that sense? Besides residential, the commercial side of things, will that actually have an impact? Like, if you, I understand you also speak to some foreigners as well from all this Islamic country. Is there an impact?
Yeah. So I mean, in this world, we have practicing people and non-practicing people across all faith.
Okay.
Right. So again, there are also devout Christians, and you have
Different religions
different level of I would say religiosity lah. I don't know what term to use.
Understand.
But different different levels, right?
Yeah.
So again, there are strict Muslims,
Okay.
and there are
Not so strict.
not so strict Muslims.
Okay.
Right? I won't call them bad Muslims, right?
Mm.
So not so strict, and depending on their objective and depending on their requirement, they might want to diversify into say Singapore, for example. They might want to look at Singapore asset, and then you come in either as an individual or you come in as a non-individual. Non-individual means you need to start a company.
Yep.
And maybe you need a company. So maybe at company level and corporate level, some banks are willing to do Islamic versions of the home loans.
Oh, okay.
Or not say home loans, Islamic version of property loans.
Understand.
Because usually these are commercial properties.
Okay.
Because there's no additional buyer stamp duty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But when it comes to residential loans, usually there's no Islamic option anyway.
Okay.
In Singapore. So, and chances are they don't want to pay additional buyer stamp duty.
Okay.
So they won't even be buying residential for that matter.
Understand.
Yeah. So for foreigners specifically. But for Singaporeans itself, there's no option, right? Then if they need to take the loan, then you got to look back at your level of religiosity lah.
Okay, I understand.
Whether you want to or you don't want to. Of course, there are certain reasonings that you can undertake.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of factors at play here.
Yep.
And I actually did a webinar during COVID. And maybe I can just share with your viewers. These very interesting statistics. Right. So I actually pose a question, right?
Okay.
If a Muslim customer who has 300,000 cash and earns maybe about 8 to 10K income and has no property to their name and the Islamic option is not available, right?
Which I have established already. It's not available in Singapore.
So what would they do, right? Would they fully pay up a 3-room flat? No loan. I fully pay up because it's cash, right? I'm not talking about CPF here. We don't even talk about CPF. There's another big thingy altogether.
Okay.
So they fully pay up a 3-room flat, and then or you use it as a down payment for their dream HDB EA, EC or private property.
Okay.
And in a location that they love. Right? And then the option C is they down pay for an investment property. So the statistics were quite interesting. Actually, 51% opted to fully pay up their property.
Oh, okay.
So I think for the Malay Muslim population here in Singapore, if you have Malay Muslim clients, I think they have a very strong objective of wanting to pay up their property as fast as possible. Whether it's through cash or CPF, I think that's one of their biggest goals.
Understand.
Because it frees them of this burden. Hey, look, I got no more loan with for my housing. I don't have to worry. I always have a roof over my head. Whereas there's 21% who thinks that actually I'm okay to take on the loan.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's conventional. Because I need the space.
Understand.
I like the the space.
The space, the place.
And
Okay.
maybe someone who doesn't even need the property staying with the parents, for example. Actually, I'm okay to take on the conventional loan because I want to
Okay.
pick up an investment property.
Rather
than taking the 300k cash and like investing in the stock market or crypto or other things, I still like real estate.
Okay.
And I want to use the power of leverage, power of loans to invest.
Understand.
And 34% actually said that they are okay to use it for investment property.
Oh, okay. So this group is they are your fellow Muslims in Singapore.
I think this sample size was about 200 people.
200 people. Interesting. Actually, to be honest, right, I think for some of the Chinese or Indian clients that I spoke to, right, some of them are also have a high tendency that, hey, I want to fully pay for the house first and stuff. They also they will have some that says that, I don't mind down paying and stuff. So the notion of loans, right, I guess is something that is also across the board as well, like different people, what they are doing, how they want to do it. But it's interesting to hear from your statistics that there are more people that's willing to actually want to fully pay for the loan.
But in that same poll, right? I said, which I didn't poll the next one is I actually asked if I were to push the envelope a little bit further.
Okay.
To those people in the 51% group, right? Now you are husband and wife couple. You have a fully paid up 3-room flat.
Yep.
But you have 5 kids.
Wow.
How many of you will actually go on to the second option?
To take the loan.
Use the 300k for down payment and take a loan.
Yeah. For a bigger house lah.
I say, but this is very subjective.
Okay.
Some people say, I'm okay to run it out.
Oh.
Family of 7 in a 3-room flat. No problem for me. My kids can sleep outside in the living room, no problem.
Oh,
That's why I got no loan, no problem with me. But there are some, I think it's a bit too squeezy.
Yeah.
Our income can afford it. Why don't we just upgrade?
Yeah.
Change from a 3-room flat to a 5-room flat. Or even an EA for that.
Yeah.
So I guess our role here is not to judge them for their decisions. And again, I think Singapore is also shifting in terms of its religion demographic. So today you have Chinese Muslims.
Yeah.
You have Indian Muslims and you have Malay Muslims. So we also need to understand that there's a difference between religion and race. So sometimes you might meet fellow Chinese Muslim clients, right?
Yeah, sure.
And they might also be sensitive to these considerations.
Understand.
So there are other factors at play.
Yeah.
For the family. So you still need to look at the family nucleus.
Understand.
And their needs and their wants.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's like you have highlighted, it's not 100% that everybody is more geared towards this or that and stuff. There's a lot of consideration as well, quality of life, especially now that we are in Singapore, where our expenses and stuff is also high. People also need space and things like this. Yeah. So now that we are on this, right? What are some of the habits or trends, right, that you see, right, from Malay buyers when they're buying properties that you feel that that is a bit different from the rest of the race or different consideration, if there's any?
I'm seeing a shift in terms of the mindset.
Okay.
Of some Malay families. I guess a lot of awareness has been done over the years. I think the early days, maybe my parents' generation, they have a preference over space.
Okay.
So they really like space because they like to do family gatherings. They like to host people. So they value space a lot. And because of this, then the preference to go towards the ground floor units or landed units back then is like higher.
Yeah.
So even the jumbo flats, the EAs, you see a lot more Malays moving because they really like the space.
Yeah.
And then that's one group of people. And then another group of people that I see for the Malay community is that because of affordability issues, then somehow they don't have much of a choice. So they end up mainly on the lower levels.
I understand.
So on the second floor, on the third floor, usually you see them there.
Yeah.
Now, because of that generation at that point of time, right? Then what happens is that their kids are also used to that.
Understand.
Used to that.
Okay.
Living style.
Mm.
Right? They grew up on the second floor. They grew up on the ground floor. They
Yeah.
grew up with a lot of space.
Mm.
So that mindset shift to maybe our generation,
Okay.
those in their 30s or in 40s, right?
Yep.
There's a spillover effect, right? So
Understand.
I also have similar preferences.
Yep.
I also don't mind living on the second floor. But this shift can also happen whereby, oh, I really don't like living on the ground floor. I don't like living on the second floor. I want to go for higher floor this time.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's also that group because they become more educated, more aware.
Yeah.
And maybe they want a
Higher floor.
They have a different preference, different lifestyle.
Understand.
Want to deviate away. So like even I do have some clients whereby the kids grew up in a landed property environment.
Yeah.
But and they don't quite like the landed property because got to walk out, to the bus and all that.
Yeah.
So in the end when they got married, they buy a HDB property.
Oh, okay.
Because they want to be near amenities. But again, I think that principle itself, right? Of the kid wanting to be near HDB, wanting to be out of the landed property and going towards the HDB market because I want to be nearer to amenities, because I want to be near the MRT.
Yeah.
It doesn't care doesn't matter what race you are.
Yeah.
It still applies.
Understand.
Right?
I agree. Yeah. And yeah, it's somehow it's like what you highlight is very interesting because when people think about second floor, third floor, they will think that it's a lot of you have a lot of Malay communities there. But in fact, I'm like you highlighted as well. Sometimes it's about I'm used to it. I'm used to staying at low floor and I don't mind. I'm okay with it and stuff. And I also like now I'm actually serving a few Malay buyers. They are looking to buy HDB, and they tell me, Derek, I want to stay in mid floor to high floor. Yeah, and then that has also then I'll ask them, how about where are you currently staying? So to them, like what you highlighted, there's certain mindset shift and stuff that is that's out there in the market right now. It's not just the Malay community also. I think I can see that. Yeah. So now that we talk about the Malay communities and stuff and things like this, like what are some of your professional experience like working with this group of buyers or even when they are taking loans, like from your experience from as a working in a bank and now as a realtor?
So the way I see it, I think they are still commercially driven, right?
Okay.
What doesn't hurt their wallet so much, they will still go for it, right?
Okay.
Depending on their needs at that point of time. So taking on a conventional loan, I think they are quite okay with it. They understand that there's no option in Singapore, and they are able to afford the monthly installment. They're able to afford the down payment. So they will still proceed whether to buy a HDB property or a private property. So there's no difference per se. Comparing to the other races. I mean, it's the same consideration.
Understand.
How much am I paying, and all that. So not much of a difference.
Yeah, the rationale become more of like, okay, what is affordable for us? What do we need? Is about the same considerations already.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are the commercial considerations. They're asking you, how much salt, how much pepper. How long to cook the chicken for. They're no longer thinking about the method really.
Okay. Yeah. So there's that little shift in mindset and things that you have also observed. Yeah. So a very interesting question is this, I also do know some Malay realtors out there and stuff. So what makes you in the first place wanted to go for this masters in real estate? Like maybe you can share with us what makes you want to go there? What have you learned from this program itself? Of course, this is not sponsored by NUS business school. just to put it up front. Yeah, maybe you can share with us your thought process and do you feel that this course has actually helped you in certain ways?
Yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah.
So when I was working in a bank, right, I was actually dealing with the developers.
Okay.
That means, for example, CDL. They want to build a residential property.
Okay.
And they've already started marketing through the property agents.
Okay.
But at the same time, when they are starting to build, they will be raising financing from the banks.
Yeah.
Right?
Understand.
And we are one of those banks that can finance them. Then I will look at CDL's financials, see whether it is okay to finance them, put up the credit memo and all that. So I do have that little bit of background on corporate real estate.
Okay.
And then I moved up eventually to become a private banker, dealing with the credit solutions for high net worth clients.
Okay.
So which means we lend against anything lah, basically. You know, it's your stocks, bonds, funds,
Understand.
property especially.
Okay.
And then it was during that period of time that the whole slew of cooling measures came about. So it becomes more complex, especially at the higher net worth side.
Okay.
So we put up the credit proposal and all that for financing arrangements at that level for individuals, right? So through this experience, then I realized, hey, actually, I'm quite interested in the real estate segment.
Okay.
I got interested on how people make money off their properties, and I decided to leave. I decided to leave banking world.
Okay.
To pursue the self-employment world.
Okay.
But I was afraid to take on a real estate agent's work scope, right? The job scope.
Yeah.
I was very comfortable with loans, so I
Yeah.
started off with loan broking because it's something that I know I can pick up really, really fast.
Yeah.
And I can probably advise quickly, and I can close more. I can still earn a decent income for my family. Of course, being self-employed means I have more flexibility to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
And my daughter was only 4 years old maybe at that point of time.
Okay.
So I was working hard for the bank. Yes, the money was good, but I miss out on certain milestones in her life
Understand.
in the early years, which I didn't want to miss that going forward. So I did loan broking for a while, got to know more about the market, get to interact more with real estate agents, real estate investors, attended a few property courses, and then I realized that, hey, actually I don't really have the proper credentials because I graduated from a non-local university, right? A private university.
Yeah.
So I thought I just want to push myself a little bit, challenge myself, and take one bucket list of my personal life, which is to graduate from a local university. And somehow I got in, which was a surprise for me. I didn't expect it, and it was during COVID, and I thought this is good knowledge for me. And indeed, I think throughout the course, I have learned a lot from yourself, from our other classmates, and the interaction that we got, the being exposed to even international markets like Korea, for example.
Actually, we went to Korea together, for an exchange program, just to understand like how do Korea do their housing, how do they do their development, and so it's pretty interesting.
And because of my role in the community also, then I'm also quite sensitive to policy making decisions. So how do the regulators go about thinking whether they want to, tweak certain policies in order to control the property market here in Singapore? So I think that those kind of topics were of interest to me. And then my interest in the shophouse space was when we did the conservation project.
That
sort of it sparked some ideas in me.
I remember the project was about, what is it about? Golden Mile, is it?
Golden Mile was one of it, and the other one was People's Park.
People's Park.
So that was very interesting. I really enjoyed that module. And that's how I got started getting interested in the history a little bit of shophouses. I'm still learning, right, along the way, but I think that passion, that interest is what led me to do the program. And of course, to differentiate myself from the market, I think you would agree. Having that credential is also quite good, I guess. It gives you that credibility, that reputation from a good school, right? It's not just any university, it's one of the top universities in the world.
I understand. Last week someone shared with me was top 8. The business school was top 8 in Asia or in the world. So okay.
So if you want credible advice from professionals like us, right? Then we're more than happy to share our knowledge.
I think like what you said, right? What we also observe is that the shift previously we are realtors, we are just here to broker between the sellers and buyers. But you also highlighted that the demand and the mindset of people have already changed. It's more of like they need proper advice, like what you highlighted. People with knowledge to be able to guide them through, okay, what their decision making process and stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's very important. How things has changed and.
Correct. So even like, I always tell my clients, there are about 30,000 agents in the market, and the rule of 80-20 always applies.
Yeah.
The top 20% of the agents are right in the market. I feel that these are the people who are working. You have part-time agents and they're licensed. They renew every year.
Yeah.
But really, really working and really putting themselves out there, maybe 20% of them. Out of these 20%, right? And then you cut it further, out of 20%, another 20%, these are the top performers. These are like your millionaire agents. Right? But the other agents not say they are not making money. They are making money. And they're working, they're putting themselves out there. Getting more awareness about their brand, doing marketing activities, and trying to close deals, right? But the advisory work involved for this 20% is less transactionary now. So it's no longer about the customer comes to you, I just want you to buy, sell, finish, end of story. Now it goes a lot deeper than that. There's a lot of fact finding involved. There's a lot of
analysis
needed, correct? Where to go, HDB, private, new launch, resale, landed. So
I mean now it's getting more and more fragmented. Like even now we have like the government have introduced the prime, the plus, the standard. And then for your condos, we have the mass market condos, we have the core central region condos, the rest of the RCRs, and we have ECs also in the market, resale EC. So there's a lot of choices that's out there. And I say property is really easily we're talking about 6-7 digit worth of things. So I think really proper care, proper advisory is needed, not just for people, not just residential as well, but I think like what you highlighted, commercial. Also investing overseas as well. Now that we talk about investing overseas, right? There are a lot of talks about, especially now that Malaysia, the ringgit has actually dropped. What is your take about, investing in Malaysia property, and like, what are some of the things that you have been observing, or even your plans yourself, like, if you don't mind sharing with
So coming from that perspective, I think personal experiences also help, right, to formulate your advisory work. So if someone has already done asset progression, for example, bought a private property, invested, made money off property, then of course you would feel that will be a good fit for you if you have similar plans. But regulations change all the time, right? And circumstances change all the time. Your needs also change all the time. Your income changes over time, and your age, one thing doesn't change, lah.
It will
always
go up,
right? So and having said that, right, I think why Singaporeans are starting to look at overseas properties is because of needing to pay ABSD on your second residential property. So now I think you're seeing a lot more agents going out there and actually educating, hey, actually you can buy a HDB under one owner, and the wife becomes essential occupier.
Yes, you're right.
Right? So this is one way that you decouple. But you have to buy from the get-go in this manner. As long as the owner can afford the loan on their own, have the CPF, have the cash for the down payment, they can buy the HDB so that you can own one HDB and one private property. But I already did this in 2017, 2018. 2018, sorry.
2018.
2018.
Wow, okay.
So I already set myself up for that. So I just hit my MOP last year, 2023.
Okay.
And technically my wife has no property to her name. And we are working towards the down payment for our second residential property purchase. And again, Sing dollar has held steady or growing. Right, and Malaysian ringgit has depreciated. So one thing about me is that actually not only me lah, me and my wife lah. One thing that we both enjoy doing is looking at properties.
Okay.
Just for fun. Yeah, so even
Yeah.
in Singapore, right,
Mm.
we will just look at properties. Just go and view, just to have a feel of the development. We go view so many different properties. One day I can do on a weekend, right? Even my daughter comes along at that point of time.
Huh.
My sons weren't born yet.
Okay.
We were just viewing properties, thinking of whether to rent or whether to buy.
Okay.
Yeah. So just explore, because if you don't go out there, put yourself out there, and
You won't
actually
know,
walk the
right?
ground, you
Yeah.
won't know, right?
Yeah.
So we walk the ground, take our time, see the unit size, different developments, different quirks. So we enjoy this process.
Okay.
So I did the same thing in JB as well. Right?
Okay.
And one way to know whether it's appropriate for you is to rent first, right?
Yeah.
Test it out. So that's what I did lah. So I have we were just looking at rental, looking at property to buy.
Okay.
And suddenly we saw this unit, and it was going for 4,000 ringgit.
4,000 ringgit.
It's about 4,000 square foot in terms of size landed.
Oh.
And I thought, okay, we make the shift. Of course, the kids would have to shift in terms of schooling.
Yeah.
Right. So again, education also is one of the key priorities of Singaporean family.
Yes, definitely.
Right, and it's very subjective when it comes to education.
Yep.
Because I've interacted with some high net worth individuals, and these people travel, they get postings everywhere.
Yep.
And their kids are used to moving and even changing schools.
Okay.
They can change schools in the space of 10 years, maybe 3-4 times. They're kind of used to it. But that builds a different kind of resilience in the kids to adapt to situations. And especially now, I feel that the adaptability, the resilience, the change that's happening so fast, with AI, sustainability, ESG all coming into play at one go, right?
Yeah.
Market is shifting so fast
Yeah.
that you need to have these skills to be able to adapt. Maybe today you are in engineering and you're looking at another field completely.
Yeah.
Even bankers or lawyers might be displaced, right?
Yeah.
But what you cannot displace is your willingness,
your adaptability
to adapt. So which is what I would like for my kids. And of course, some people may say education is still cheap in Singapore.
Yeah.
And education is still good in Singapore, and that I want them to do well for PSLE.
Yeah.
I want them to go through the whole route of a good education in Singapore, right? But there are also the different school of thought. Look, I think it's too pressurizing for my kids to go through PSLE at 12 years old. I don't want them to go through all that. I want them to have fun. I want them to play, be exposed to forest school, be more aware of nature, so that then they can contribute back to the community and all that kind of stuff, right? So different school of thought. The paper qualification is no longer necessary because you can make money anywhere now. You go YouTube, so there are a lot of people
earning a lot of money just doing YouTube.
Being content creators,
Yeah.
which is also another good skill set to pick up. I mean, whatever you're doing today is a skill set that you also picked up along the way, right? Setting up the camera, microphone, still work, right? And where do you learn all this? You have to pick it up from somewhere. Right, and so you do have the adaptability. So I'm not saying that those who opt for the Singapore education system cannot adapt. Just that I just want to give them to a different exposure. So that was one of the considerations that I made before I decided to live in Johor.
Okay.
And have the option to rent out my HDB after MOP.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have to say after MOP.
After MOP, yes, very important.
Very
Follow the regulation.
Yeah.
So just now you highlighted that for the interest, right? Some numbers, if you don't mind sharing. Just now you mentioned you are paying a rental of 4,000 ringgit for a 4,000 square feet landed property. I assume. 3 stories.
3 stories. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Just to share, right, 4,000 ringgit in Singapore most likely will just get you the master bedroom. You may not even get the master bedroom of a HDB flat, right? So in terms of the international schools, right, how is the school fees like? And so far have your girls, been able to adapt to the international schools over there? If you don't mind sharing,
Yeah, I think she is getting used to it. I think she's making more friends. You have friends globally, right? You have the Koreans, you have the Chinese,
Mm.
you have the Indians, and you
Okay.
have the local Malaysians.
Mm.
So you're more aware
Global in
that
that sense.
you're more aware that, hey, look, I'm not just limited by the Chinese, Malay, Indian community,
Understand.
right?
Yeah.
The world is actually quite huge, and because of the space there,
Mm.
you need to travel to certain places. So
Yeah.
there are certain inconveniences when it comes to living
Mm.
in JB
Understand.
or in KL for that matter, in Malaysia.
Okay.
Right? So Malaysia is near,
Yeah.
so that's one of the consideration,
Mm.
and it also allows me time to interact
With your daughter.
with not with family, one thing,
Yeah.
to spend more time, have more activities to do. I feel like Singapore not much activities to do, so now I
Okay.
have a lot more activities to explore
Yeah.
explore over there
Mm.
during the times that I'm not working,
Mm.
and also interact with the local community there. So
Okay.
it's like, you know how we go for the Korean trip, right?
Yeah,
We actually see, where are the developments coming up,
Mm.
because not all Malaysian properties
Yep.
you can buy.
Yep.
If you want to buy,
Mm.
you have to be very selective,
Mm.
so that you hear stories like people losing money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the depreciating ringgit is also not helping in that sense.
Yeah,
If you
because
want
it
to buy,
depreciate your properties also in that
correct.
sense.
So unless the appreciation can beat the appreciation of the property can beat the depreciation of the ringgit,
Yep.
then maybe it could be a worthwhile investment. But if you go in with the mindset, hey, look, I just want to buy for own stay because I want to be happy, because I see myself retiring here, then there's no stopping you to doing so lah. So again, it's a personal choice. It doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I know some families are quite tightly knit, so you might need support from your parents, especially when your kids are younger.
Yeah.
Whereas some people are a bit more independent, we can handle everything on our own. So you can afford, so I've seen this trend of Singaporeans actually wanting to explore. And not only in Malaysia, they're going like Australia, they're going Hong Kong, they're going other places
Bali
in the
also, I
world, Bali
heard.
even, Indonesia.
Yeah.
So just to have a different way
of living.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
To this preference.
Yep.
Right. It's just what works for you, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. As a parent myself, right, I also these are also consideration. But I mean, in Singapore, the interesting thing is this: a lot of parents are moving because they want to be within 1 kilometer of certain good schools and stuff. But
Yes.
like you highlighted, there are also certain trends that feels that I also feel that some parents also highlight to me, Derek, the good schools, right, very pressurizing, very stressful, and stuff. And I myself also seen some of the not so branded schools. I also seen that, like, I also see international communities there. Like you have Koreans, you have people from India, from China, and stuff. It actually exposed people in a very, very different way. Like you highlighted, there's no right or wrong, but it's really end of the day, we want them to really be able to make an informed decision. And so far, staying in JB, you really quite and lucky there. Your kids, your wife.
So far, I think we are enjoying it. It's only about 2 months in.
Okay.
I think at the end of the day is you need to look at your own financial capability and resources before making any move. Right. I think one of the things that you touched on was how much does it cost to go there. So just a rough gauge. I've taken a look at a few international schools there.
Okay.
Different way. One is, I think, for this school that I sent my daughter to is the GCSE A levels that they will be eventually be doing Cambridge.
Okay.
Right. So it's Singapore now is Singapore GCS. GCE or something like that. So I'm not really sure about the Singapore education route.
Yeah.
But costing wise, depending on level, it can be anywhere between 30 odd thousand ringgit, 30 odd thousand ringgit to
per month or per
year.
Okay.
All the way up to maybe about 50,000 ringgit a year.
50,000 ringgit. So 30,000 ringgit, if we were to break it down, around slightly less than 10k Sing per year, if thereabout, then we break it down per month. That is around slightly less than $1,000.
Yes,
per
correct.
month.
Per child.
per child.
Per child. So depending on how many kids you have, so you got to consider all these factors. And then of course,
Yeah.
the higher level that they go to, the more expensive
Understand.
you will get.
Understand.
So it depends on your affordability also. But then again, even in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
You also have different levels of childcare. We just look at childcare alone. That segment before primary school.
Yeah.
You have your PAP Sparkle Tots.
Yes. Then you have all
You
the
have
way.
MOE kindergarten.
Yeah.
And then you have all the way up to your Julia Gabriels.
Yes, and your mind champs and the likes of them. It's
Correct.
like
So again, some parents opt to send their sons to, or their children to more premium childcare, right?
yeah.
Which means they're already paying about 1,000 plus
I agree.
extra per
Yeah.
month. I mean, again, this is a preference thing.
Yeah, I also agree with you. It's like there are certain costing and certain things that we need to be mindful of. But even for house as well, there will be certain what we call trade off, no matter what you choose. But important thing is there's consensus. Like what you highlighted, your wife actually agrees with you, and she's also into this decision as well. I think that's very important because I think maybe different race, religion and stuff, right? I mean, if you are married, the consensus with the spouse, I think, is very, very important. Because I've seen before, people literally, husband and wife literally fought in the show flat because the husband want to buy this, but the wife don't want to buy.
So it's very interesting because it doesn't matter what race or religion you are, right? When you're talking about marriage, right? You got to work as a team.
Yep, I agree.
Right? So even the decision to so-called decouple, it has to be together. But it is not without its challenges. Right? Because sometimes you fight. When I say decouple, it doesn't matter whether you start with HDB, one private later, or even immediately two private properties. Because when you start to have issues or challenges in your marriage, right, that's when you're being tested. And when you're being tested, you go back to your own house, this house I own, right?
Yeah.
So these kind of things might happen, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Then if divorce, then how do you account for, whose shares, whose
assets and
all that kind of stuff. So there are issues that comes with decoupling itself. I mean, I had one experience whereby this couple, husband and wife, they already decoupled already. Right? So I don't know what challenges they're facing. Husband sold off first.
Okay.
Then the wife sold off.
Okay.
But husband sold off first cannot buy.
I
need to wait for my wife to buy first.
Oh.
After my wife, then I can buy.
Okay.
So again, different dynamics, right?
Different dynamics
of the marriage. So so as agents, I guess, we have to be very sensitive to these social or emotions involved when it comes to a property purchase.
I agree.
And not many people can handle this quite well. So you need to find someone that understands you from that perspective, so that you can make your property purchase a more smoother experience.
I agree. Yeah, because really, I realized that a lot of different families, different couples, they have very interesting dynamic within, and our job is not to judge. Hey, this is wrong, this is right, but really, as much as we understand them, we will want to be able to still advise them accordingly, and then help them to execute properly and stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. But it's interesting to hear your adventure. I think it's very different from a lot of the not to say anything, but very different from the rest of the Malay agents that I've realtor that I've heard of. Like you mentioned about education, and I also you also talking about living overseas and stuff. Yeah, and then you're also now serving in the Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce. Like what is your role like, and what have you really enjoyed doing this like?
So in my capacity, it's a volunteer role. Okay. So again, I think I've always been interested in real estate and business. I mean, at the end of the day, we are also business owners, right?
I agree.
Yeah. It's about uplifting the Malay community, the Malay business owners, so that they can grow, they can create employment for the community, or even grow themselves. And that's what we do here at Malay Chamber. And of course, tackle certain industry challenges together. You get to interact with the relevant ministries, so that we can work towards finding that balance. I mean, the government cannot please everybody, right?
I agree.
Whether you are the community, the individuals,
Yep.
you know, the HDB market,
Mm-hmm.
the private property market, or even your business owners, you know, rising cost of
Yep.
rental,
Yep.
manpower cost,
Mm.
being unable to bring in the foreigners. So actually there's I think through the master's program we understand that actually business and real estate, they are kind of intertwined,
Yep, I agree.
right?
Yep.
So certain decisions, for example, look, if I'm going to let the businesses have freedom in terms of hiring foreigners, and I don't
Yep.
have any quota there, right? I even okay, you all want more workers to come in, right? To help with the F&B, because Singaporeans don't want to work in the F&B line.
You just open the tap.
So I open the tap. So what's the spillover effect of that?
Yep.
Which means that the rental market might be heated up, right?
Yeah.
So these foreigners are coming in, I need a space to rent.
Yep.
So then Singaporeans will complain, after 3 years you give them PR. or after some time they will be working here, then they get their PR. Eventually, then they serve their PR for 3 years. They continue to rent some more.
Yep.
And then you don't have any supply for our Singaporeans.
Yeah.
And of course, the community demographics might also shift. So in terms of population, how many people are going to be Singaporeans and how many people are going to be your foreigners and PR?
Yeah.
So it's actually an ecosystem.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem, very well linked and stuff. So that's why not easy to do policies.
So not easy to do policies, and it's a very delicate balance that the government has to play. You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what I've learned throughout the program itself is that I think you got to work within the regulations.
Okay.
I'm not saying don't comply.
Yeah.
Right. You got to work within it, and then try to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Given your circumstances.
Understand.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right. Thank you, Shamir, for the interesting insight to talk about, your professional careers. We talk about loans and loans as complying to Islamic. And we also have very interesting sharing about, the trends for Malay buyers for property. We also talk about, your own personal experience, like, wow, a big move to move yourself to JB and how you have actually relocate your kids and stuff. And lastly, you talk about your serving in, the Singapore Malay Chambers of Commerce. Been a good time sharing with you. And
thanks for having me, Derek.
No problem. Let's have, more chats and stuff. And hopefully, we have more insights to share, and you can share with us more after you stay in JB for longer period. Right. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us for this episode. I'll see you next time for the next Get Real Estate. All right. See you. Bye-bye.